Are we on? Okay. This meeting of the City of Frostburg is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing.
We are thankful for this special community, for the time we share together, and the bounty of our nation. We are thankful for the commitment of our people who volunteer their time and talents to make our community a better place to live, work, and raise a family. We know that we alone cannot meet the challenges to provide sufficient inspiration without community involvement and the dedication of all concerned to the greater good of the city and all who reside in it. We are thankful for the beauty, the time, and the place that is Frostburg. Amen.
Amen. All right. We'll have call of the roll, please.
Mayor Lunsky.
Present.
Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Forsyth.
Here.
Commissioner Grove.
Here.
Let the record show that Commissioner Ritchie is excused from absence.
Okay. Before we approve the agenda, I thought it might be appropriate to do a couple quick introductions since we have some new senior staff here. This is the first meeting for our new city administrator, Patrick O'Brien. So introducing him to staff and the public. Anything you want to say? You don't have to.
Happy New Year.
And also our new finance director, Amy Phillips. First meeting for her also. So welcome aboard. So we'll then have item 5, which is approval of tonight's agenda.
I move we approved tonight's agenda.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any further discussion among council? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Agenda approved. Minutes from the May meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the work session and the public meeting of the month of May. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Moving on then to reports of departments, reports of the city departments. Maybe we'll start with Bethany today.
Good evening, Commissioners. I prepared a little highlight reel, as I always do, for the month of May from the Community Development Department. In the month of May, 13 permits were issued. Most of those were small projects, sheds, driveways, fences. We did issue 1 commercial use and occupancy permit for Spin Cycle Laundry, which has replaced the former Highway Pizza on East College Avenue. On the code enforcement side of things, in May, 22 new code enforcement cases were opened. To date, 17 of those have been resolved. Citations were issued for 3 of those violations, and 2 of them have been considered resolved, but they're continuing to be monitored. As we reported last month, there were 6 units in the rental housing program that were cited for failure to license their rental units. To date, 4 of those citations have been paid and compliance has been achieved, and we're working to achieve compliance with those remaining 2 units. Just to give you a very quick overview of some of the things that we worked on in the month of May. In addition to flood recovery efforts, we did the Buy Nothing, Give Freely event. I talked about that kind of in more detail last month, so I'll just let you know that we spent a lot of time on that in May. The stabilization grant program, you all will be reviewing the MOU between the city and the county this evening. So we've just been working with county staff to finalize the details of that grant program. And then we've been working a lot on the comprehensive plan rewrite. So we received all the raw data from the consultant. We received the results of all of the stakeholder interviews. So a steering committee meeting will be scheduled in the next couple weeks to kind of go over that, participate in a SWOT exercise, things like that. So things are moving along on that front. That's all I have for May, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
When is Jay, has he switched over to his new role full-time yet, or is that July 1?
He's not full-time until July 1st.
July 1, okay.
So it's coming up.
Okay, very good.
All right.
I have a question. What is rodent harborage? Like people
Rodent
keeping rodents
harborage basically means that
I missed that.
you have a hole in your foundation or something that is allowing rodents to get in.
to get into the.
Yeah, so, and basically allowing conditions to exist on your property that are conducive to rodents. So, we try to work to remediate that, so.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Phillips.
Good evening. As Mayor mentioned, I'm brand new. It's my 7th day, so I don't have a whole lot to say. So I'll keep it short. My predecessor, Mrs. Jones, submitted the monthly reports for May prior to her departure, so any questions you have can be directed to the finance office, and I will do my best to answer them. Some of the activities of the finance office in the month of May and continuing into June, we included the serve line notices with the 610 utility billings. Customers have been made aware that they can contact serve line directly at the number on the insert with any questions they may have. We are continuing to encourage both utility and tax customers to sign up for e-billing, which will save the city postage and supply costs, as well as staff time, which will free up resources so we can better serve the citizens. We will begin sending out property tax notices in July, and we are quickly approaching our fiscal year end of 6/30, so we're busy preparing for year-end close and the annual audit. And this month, that's all I have. I'll do better next time.
Could you talk about, we discussed in your office a little bit, but I want to talk out here about the fund balance, the adjustment for the fund balance. I know that's going to come up in the ordinance. But.
Yeah, so one of our resolutions tonight is the adoption of the budget amendments, which will eliminate approximately $250,000 of the use of the fund balance for the corporate and water funds.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
No. Mr. Lindsay.
So I'll take over with the reports from the various departments involved with Public Works. Starting with Parks and Rec, it has really mostly been grass cutting season with all of the rain. It has been grass cutting and keeping facilities just clean and tidy and up to date and ready for use. Within the water department, we have finished flushing fire hydrants. We've had 2 major leaks, a fair amount of small ones, but 2 major ones, and then we just wrapped up our biannually leak detection project. We have about 10% of town left to do, but we don't anticipate any leaks in there, knock on wood. But for the most part, that leak detection is done. It's always very rewarding. It's usually a pretty good investment. It saves us a good bit of money through finding leaks. In the street department, it has pretty well been pothole patching, inlet basin repair and replacement, culvert pipe replacement, and prepping for the paving contract, which will go to advertisement next week. And then in the Public Works realm, we are just handling all of our CSO projects, which we'll talk about in a bit. And coming down the pike is the roundabout, which we anticipate taking to bid probably in the fall and then starting on in the spring of 2026. Other than that, if there are no questions, it's pretty business as usual. So.
When you do the leak detection, where do you mostly find the leaks? Is there any kind of pattern?
Not particularly. It's really an even spread across service lines, 8-inch stuff, 4-inch stuff, 6-inch stuff. It's kind of an even spread. So, I mean, you can always typically track it back to the oldest stuff in town. That would be where you're most likely to find them. Mm-hmm. But in terms of areas of town or sizes of lines, it's a smattering. Yep.
Okay, so mainly just the older.
Yeah.
Okay. And has all the rain that we've been having increased water line breaks or not?
No. Fortunately for us, all of our water lines don't really fall in any stream beds or water runoff areas. Sort of like the areas in the county that had issues with that were along the creek,
right? Yeah.
Where water washed out the lines and then just the pressure in the line broke them. We are fortunate that we don't have that. What we have seen from all the extra rain has been an increased cost in sewerage. Just because through infiltration, and even if you have a completely separated system, in areas of town where you have somewhat low-lying sewer lines, they're going to get rainwater in them, and it ultimately makes its way down, and those costs have gone up. So, yeah, quite significantly.
Have we heard anything more, I'm sure not, about the what we put in with the county's FEMA application? I mean, I know we put in for the vac truck, the pump on the vac truck.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
We have not gotten anything back yet.
Okay. Was that the only thing that we applied for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Chief Costello.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, good evening. I have the report for the Police Department for the month of May 2025. We had 680 incidents generally. That's pretty similar to May of 2024 when we had 701 incidents. As always, a variety of activities. We had 18 arrests of various sorts, 2 cases referred to C3I, 7 logged community policing activities, 12 parking violations, 27 well-being checks, 14 assist other agencies, 3 emergency petitions, 48 requests for a police officer, 46 documented follow-ups, 27 disturbances, 8 motor vehicle crashes, 1 DWI arrest, and 70 traffic stops. So as always, I kind of try to hit a variety of incidents. Always doing our good community policing stuff. You know, I believe that's our Frostburg vibe in the police department end of things, is being part of the community, being accessible, talking to folks, being out there. So we've had some neat things going on during the, I think it was the First Friday event with Frostburg First. We set up a prescription take-back program at St. Michael's. Unfortunately, we got a very heavy rain, but it was nice to have the visibility right downtown, and we did get a little collection. We had DARE graduation at Frost Elementary, so we were glad to be there and speak at that. And of course, our officers run that, so run the whole program. So it was very nicely done by Officer Brady Ellsworth, our school resource officer. Sergeant Beeman was recently at field day at Bell Elementary. Just the other day, there's a new fishing derby thing that started up. So Officer Davis and Officer Fuffman were up at Glendenning for that. So that's a neat thing to have us involved with right off the bat. And we had some folks from, we had actually 4 different groups from middle school come and tour the police station and City Hall and different city departments. So just a few things we've been doing. I always emphasize greatly the community policing, the positive day-to-day stuff. Our officers do a lot of your, what you might think of as your traditional or, you know, traditional policing. We've had 2 incidents lately I'll mention just very briefly to give you a sense of how I think our officers really serve the community. They might not be the most nicest stories for polite company, but generally I will say one incident, we had a man, an adult man who was naked, who showed up at a business, appeared to be on some kind of substance or impaired in some way, was kind of foaming at the mouth, walked behind the counter, was knocking things over in the store, bleeding. Obviously they called the police. Our officers got down there very quickly, restrained him appropriately, got EMS there, and got him to the hospital. So one of the things I was very appreciative of is one of the employees said basically to me, we were amazed at how quickly you guys got here. It was like instantaneous. That made me feel good. I mean, that's obviously an upsetting thing to the employees when that happens. And I think that's important quality of life stuff, that when something happens in our city, we get there right quickly, take care of it correctly, and resolve the issue. And just yesterday, we were at a domestic incident, and an adult female, almost immediately, within seconds of arrival, walked up to the police officer and drew back to attempt to deck him in the face, but he was able to restrain her and place her under arrest without injury to, I mean, nothing obvious, no significant injury, and take care of that. So I always emphasize the community nature of police work and try to emphasize the positive, but I think it's good to note from time to time that our officers are always doing our classic police work, keeping peace and order, and trying to keep our city safe and beautiful. That would conclude my report. Thank you all.
Just one question.
Yes, sir.
So this is the second month that I've noticed this, and it's a good thing.
Yeah,
I'm pleased
yeah.
with it.
Yes, sir.
The money that the police department collected under the heading of parking fines is
Yes, sir.
significantly higher than it has been in the past. It's 760. Last month it was 690. And every
Yes.
month before that I remember was less than $100. Do you know what's going
Yes,
on
sir.
there? That,
So I will have to check, and I should have remembered that from last time to check. Basically, PCO Clark does, and PCO Bennett, they do all of our recording and payments for parking tickets. They're usually $30 each on average parking tickets. Some are higher, like if it's a fire hydrant violation. Sometimes what will happen is sometimes it's from increased enforcement, but sometimes like if people can't renew their tags at the MVA, like a bunch of people will come in. So I don't know offhand if there are more common ones when people renew their vehicles, but basically the kind of the administrative staff takes care of that, and I will check into it. But a lot of times we get a rush of people trying to renew their tags at the MVA because they have unpaid tickets. That could be it too.
okay.
But certainly be glad to check. Anything else, Mayor, Commissioners, anything?
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
All right, those are all the city departments, so I guess I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve the monthly reports from the city departments.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the reports of the various city departments. Any further discussion among council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Reports are approved. Moving on then to item 8, this is our regular CSO hearing.
So this will be the monthly public CSO hearing for the combined sewer overflow projects that are going on in Frostburg. At the moment, we have 3 projects underway, Phase 8C, 9D, and 10A. All of them are currently in construction. We had to wait until June 1st to get back into the wetland areas of Phase 10A, so we are working in there. Phase 8C and 9D are both underway. We anticipate them taking about another month to finish the bulk of construction for those, and then we'll be going through punch out and close out into the early fall, but they are going to both be fairly short projects. We also anticipate Phase 10A finishing in the fall. Phase 10B and 10C are officially approved by the state at all levels. We are finished with design at 100% completion, and now we are prepping all of our bid packages to go to advertisement within the next month to do a soft groundbreaking this fall, with the bulk of that work starting in the spring of 2026 after weather shutdown ends. Those will both be 2 to 2.5 year projects going through to early 2028. If there are no questions, that is all I have, but I'm happy to answer any.
Rain has not impeded work, except for the low-lying areas.
We're fortunate in that when there's jobs that are too wet, we can shift. Now that we have 3 jobs going on with 1 contractor, we can kind of move them around. You know, the North Grant and Center Street jobs are in high enough areas that we can get out of the rain to work on them. But we are fortunate in that the state does grant us rain days or weather days. So if it's going to be too muddy to work and we're going to muddy up all the streets, then we can shut down. So, yep.
How many more?
3. After we finish 10B and 10C. So once we get to that phase of 10B and 10C, we have hit our percentage marker that the state would like to see, but there are still 3 areas in town that we will most likely pursue because the state's probably going to push us to pursue them anyways. So Frost Avenue, Hill Street, and Spring Street are 3 of the biggest ones, and then there's a smattering of intersections of streets that we'll do with those projects. Yep. Cool.
Thank you, sir. All right. That will be considered the required monthly public hearing on the CSO project. We'll move on then to item 8B, which is an ordinance 2025-04.
Good evening again. This is your second time hearing about this one. So ordinance 2025-04 is in reference to a text amendment to section 7-4F of the city code. The way that the code is currently written, it is a little bit ambiguous who specifically has the final decision-making authority when granting commercial property tax credits. So we wanted to make this text amendment to make it crystal clear that the final decision-making power lies with the mayor and council. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, that would conclude my presentation on this one.
Short and sweet.
Very good. All right. Moving on then, you might as well stay there. Ordinance 2025-05.
Yes. Again, this is your second reading of this. I'd like to take a little bit of extra time, if you don't mind. I've prepared a presentation that gives a full overview of the text amendments that we are proposing for the rental housing ordinance. And just for everybody's benefit, this will be recorded with a voiceover as well and published to the city's YouTube page, and it'll be circulated to all the rental property owners and owners agents. So, like I said, I'll just be walking you through some of the changes we proposed. And these amendments were developed in response to feedback from rental property owners that we gathered through a recent survey, various conversations that we've had with landlords over the years, and ongoing input from the community. As you know, you approved these amendments on first reading last month, and tonight you will be considering them for second reading. So with that, let's go ahead and take a detailed look at these changes. If you would advance this, okay, you already did. All right, so one of the biggest changes is how inspections will be handled. So under the current system, the first inspection is covered by the annual rental registration fee. And if the unit needs re-inspected, or if the inspector has to make multiple visits for whatever reason, the property owner pays the inspector directly. So these inspectors, we have 2 companies that are on our approved list, and they were privately contracted by the city. And as you can imagine, sometimes this has led to differences in availability, inspection standards, things like that. So under this new proposed model, all inspections, including the re-inspections, will be conducted by a full-time city rental housing inspector. Property owners will no longer need to coordinate with or pay individual inspectors, and instead all the inspection fees will be handled centrally by the city, which means one standard, one process, and one point of contact for all things relating to rental housing inspections. So our hope is that this will bring greater consistency, oversight, and overall efficiency to our program. Would you advance the slide, please? Thank you. Okay, next, we'll talk about the inspection frequency and process. Inspections are still going to take place every 3 years, but we're just tightening up the timelines to keep things fair and on schedule. So when it's your turn to get a unit inspected, the property owner and their owner's agent will receive a formal notice, and they must schedule the inspection within 30 days of receiving that notice. And then once it's scheduled, the inspection has to take place within 90 days. We do offer the option for extensions as needed. So if violations are found, they must be corrected within 30 days, but if it's a life safety issue, it's 3 days. And that's how it is, and that's how it will remain. So just like before, if the unit isn't brought into compliance within the required time frame, the city can post it as unfit for occupancy until the corrections have been verified. Next slide, please. The registration requirements, we're just adding a couple things to what we normally would collect during the registration process. So another one of the big changes to the program, we're modernizing the licensing process. So property owners will be able to submit their application and pay online. That, I think, is the number one thing that we have heard. People don't like submitting paper forms, especially, for companies that are managing a lot of units. And also the fact that folks can't pay online. We think that might be a reason why people aren't paying within the first month anyway. Because it's not convenient to have to come into City Hall or to have to write a check and mail it out. So we'll still have paper forms available by request, but we are moving to a digital platform, which we hope to launch July 1st. So the annual registration deadline, nothing will change about that. And you all previously had discussed, I think in the budget conversations, the fees. So the fees will remain $40 if paid between January 1st and February 1st. If paid between February 2nd and March 1st, it's a $50 fee. And I missed something here. Basically, the only thing that's changing is if someone pays after April 1st, instead of reverting back to that $40 rate plus a $250 citation, the fee will remain $100 in addition to the $250 fee. So the additional information that we're requesting, we're going to have a checkbox to indicate whether the unit is occupied or vacant. We will also have a checkbox if the unit is a short-term vacation rental. So if it's listed on Airbnb or Vrbo, something like that, they'll just need to check a box. We do still require the MDE lead number for each unit, and then we will be requiring signature under oath. That's not something, we don't have that kind of oath language on our form, but we are going to be adding that moving forward.
Quick question before
Sure.
you move on. So just to clarify, the licensing fee does not change or has not changed as long as it's paid on time. It's only changed if it's late.
That is correct, yes. And at that point, by the time the fee changes, it will have been 2 months or 3 months overdue. So we think that that's plenty fair, and I agree with your decision to increase the late penalty fee to $100. Next slide, please. Oh, thank you. All right, so the new ordinance also is going to clearly define who is responsible for what. So we already had a formalized rental housing officer position. Now we are formalizing a rental housing inspector position. And the inspector will be held to the same standard as the previous inspectors have been held to. They will be ICC certified. That's the International Code Council that issues the property management, or excuse me, the property maintenance inspection certification. And we've included strict conflict of interest provisions, so inspectors can't inspect properties that they have a vested interest in, or their immediate family. So this ensures that we have a professional, impartial enforcement of the code. Next slide, please. Okay, so we've clarified the city's enforcement authority, and this isn't really anything changing. We've just updated the language to make it more clear. So it makes it clear what happens if a rental unit falls out of compliance or isn't registered and inspected in the required time frame. So the text amendment makes it clear that the city has the right to revoke the registration and to post the unit unfit for occupancy until the issues have been corrected. Of course, we always hope to avoid that outcome, but we felt that it was really important to have those clear standards in place, and that helps us do our jobs better. Violations of the rental housing code will continue to be treated as municipal infractions, and they do carry fines associated with them. And the goal is always compliance, not punishment. So we're just trying to make sure that everybody's protected through this. So last slide, please. Thank you. So we've added, in addition to the definitions that we already had in place, we added 4 new terms to our list of definitions that specifically pertain to the rental housing ordinance. So it cleans up and clarifies several of the definitions that have caused confusion over the years. So we now define what counts as a vacant unit, who qualifies as immediate family, and what it means to have a primary residence. So these changes help make our enforcement more consistent and predictable. So everybody's on the same page and understands the terms that we're using. So overall, this is just an investment in long-term modernization with the goal of running a cost-neutral program. We have had questions from the public about any potential cost savings or extra expenses to the city. We did run the numbers, and it's pretty much cost-neutral within a couple $100s. So that would conclude my presentation for Ordinance 2024-05. Do we have a sign-in sheet if there's any members of the public who wish to speak?
State their name.
Okay, so if any members of the public have questions, you can state your name and address for the record, and I'd be happy to address anything you have.
Ma'am, if you could, please.
Lisa Van Houten, 318 Bernard. You mentioned in there justification for extensions.
Yes.
Who makes those justifications and who makes those extensions?
The requests are submitted to the Community Development Director, so that would be myself, and I'm able to use my judgment on whether it's justified or not.
Okay, so you're communicating with the inspector who set up the violation?
So what we do, if someone requests an extension to complete repairs, we issue a letter just confirming that it was approved, what the new deadline is, and any next steps that need to happen.
This is the public comment period on this ordinance. Anyone else, any comments, questions, anything from the public? Anything from council?
I think it's great the way that you've outlined it. Makes it really clear, and I'm glad that you're going to be making it available to all the people who manage properties.
Yeah, I mean, we know that change is hard, and things haven't changed with this ordinance since it was adopted in 2014. So it was, I truly feel that these changes are long overdue, and I really hope that it helps the program run more efficiently.
One question I have, what are the plans, because in the past, and we've talked about this before, this is gonna require 600 inspections a year. What are the plans for if all those inspections don't get done in a year's time?
Well, that's part of why we broke it up the way we did, with you get 30 days notice to schedule the inspection, and then there's 90 days to have it completed.
Okay, but in the past, when we had it in-house, an inspector would get 200 or 250 done, and then just forget about the other 350, and then go to the next group of 600. So that's what I don't want to see happening. I mean, I mean, back then, there were people that would have their house inspected every 3 years, and there were people that never had a house inspected in 10 years. So
Yeah.
we do need to ensure that there's got to be some kind of contingency in there, because it's going to be hard for, I mean, was there 200 and some work days? That's 3 inspections a day for the inspector, plus any other work he's got to do. So I think we need to consider that,
Okay.
going forward.
Our iWork program that we're using, all the inspections are managed in there. There's a calendar. People can just log in and request their inspection date right through that portal. That we really think is going to help keep things on track rather than, previously. I mean, I don't know how the previous in-house inspector did things, but I do know when I came on board, everything in our department was done in Excel spreadsheets, and everything was logged in spreadsheets. So, we've digitized our code enforcement, we've digitized our permits, and we've had great success with it. And I really feel confident that this program is going to help us keep things on track in that regard.
I know this would vary by size of property, but about how long
That's what I was
does
just
it
gonna ask.
take an inspection?
We conducted, I got to participate in an inspection. We were there for maybe 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah.
And this was like for how many units?
We did 2 units that day, so it was about 30 to 45 for each unit.
Okay.
Yep.
It seems doable then.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say 4 hours.
Oh, no. We've got a checklist, and they just kind of go down, check, pass or fail, make their comments.
So for example, like your typical duplex on Center Street, whatever, can be done in less than an hour.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
Okay.
And some of our units are a bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchen.
Yeah.
That's it. So.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's hope it works.
I will keep you all posted as
Alright.
things go.
All right.
Thank you.
So that closes, unless there's anything else, that closes the public hearing on this ordinance 2025-05, and we'll move on then to actually voting on them. So back to ordinance 4, 2025-04. Somebody needs to make a motion.
Oh. Motion to approve it? Oh.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-04.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-04, and this is on second reading and final passage. Any further comment or discussion among council? Last chance, anything from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 2025-04 is approved. Ordinance number 5.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-05.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-05. This is second reading and final passage. Further comment or discussion among council? Anything further from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 2025-05 is approved. That concludes that. So moving on then, we are into item 10 on the agenda, new business, call up Resolution 2025-25.
Again, this was prepared by my predecessor, so I will relay the information I have and keep it short and sweet. Resolution 2025-25 was proposed to align the budget with actual revenues and expenditures and to account for items that were unknown during the original budget preparation, as well as changes in the assumptions that were used. Some highlights. In the corporate fund, we have an increase in Maryland income taxes based on year-to-date revenue and prior June payments. So we're trying to keep that in line with trends from the past. There is a decrease in the highway use tax based on, again, year-to-date revenue and a letter we received from State Highway. There is increased project reimbursement revenue related to various ongoing projects, and as a result, there's also some additional capital outlay costs. We have reductions in health insurance costs due to changes in enrollments and underutilization by retirees. Overall, we have a decrease in public safety expenses, which is made up of additional training costs, agreement for body cameras, and increased maintenance and utilities costs. But fortunately, that was offset by insurance savings, reduced fuel costs, and the elimination of the C3I support. Finally, under the corporate fund, there are increased public works costs related to salt and salt storage, as well as increased vehicle costs related to new fleet vehicles, truck repairs, and pollution control. In the water surcharge fund, we have increased revenues due to additional county EDUs that have been continued, just been continued. And across multiple funds, we have an increase in interest income to reflect the beneficial rate we're receiving in the money market account. Finally, all these changes eliminated the need to use the fund balance for the corporate and water funds, as I mentioned earlier, to the tune of about $250,000. And that's all I have. Any questions, concerns?
You said it eliminated the need to use it, so.
It eliminated the need in the corporate and the water fund.
Not the sewer fund.
Sewer fund still carry, we still carry the fund balance, or use the fund
Use
balance.
the fund balance, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And what was the 200 and,
It came to 249, 270,
Yeah,
so
okay.
almost 250.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-25.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-25. Further discussion or comment among council? Any comment or discussion among the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-25 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be resolution 2025-26. Mr. O'Brien.
Resolution 2025-26 is authorizing designation of a new pension coordinator for the state pension system. So this resolution would designate Amy Phillips, Director of Finance, as the city's new retirement coordinator, and is a requirement of the state retirement agency.
Okay.
I move we approve resolution 2025-26.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-26. Further comment or discussion among council? Discussion or comment among the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-26 is approved. Moving on then to resolution 2025-27.
Resolution 2025-27 would be approving executive personnel as names on city accounts. So this resolution would name myself as well as Amy Phillips to be added along with Mayor Logston to the list of authorized persons on all financial accounts, and would remove Hayden Lindsay, who was acting city administrator for those accounts.
It also removes Elaine Jones, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I move we approve resolution 2025-27.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-27. Further comment or discussion among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-27 is approved. Next is resolution 2025-28. This will be Chief Costello.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Again, I have for your consideration Resolution 2025-28. The city received a request for a temporary repeal of parts of the open container law under the city code for the lemonade stroll event. From the police department, no concerns about this whatsoever. I would respectfully recommend that you approve this, and I would ask for a motion and a second to approve the resolution, subject to your questions.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-28.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-28. Further comment or discussion among council on this?
Better be good lemonade.
Yes.
What's the date, Chief? Oh, I'm sorry, it's in there.
No problem.
It's next Saturday.
Yep.
Next Saturday.
Yep, I
Okay.
didn't know off the cuff. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anything else among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-28 approved.
Thank you
Yes,
all.
sir. Resolution 2025-29.
Resolution 2025-29 was discussed at your work session last week. This is an annual agreement that is made between the city's Main Street program, and the Maryland Main Street program, which is a division of the Maryland State Department of Housing and Community Development. As you heard, this is an annual agreement. It just kind of formalizes what everyone's responsibilities are. On the city's side of things, the city, by entering into this agreement, agrees to provide either financial or in-kind support for the Main Street program and promote their efforts. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2025-29.
I appreciated the packet that Deirdre sent.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2025-29.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-29. Further comment or discussion among council? Any comment or discussion among the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no. All right, ayes have it. Resolution 29 is approved. Finally, Resolution 2025-30.
All right, this resolution, we have discussed this grant program that's a partnership between Allegheny County Department of Economic and Community Development and the City of Frostburg Department of Community Development. The county was awarded $250,000 through the state of Maryland's Strategic Demolition Fund, and this MOU just formalizes that agreement. So the way that this will work, I, as a city representative, will manage kind of the more administrative elements of this grant program, developing the packet, collecting the applications, facilitating the review panel. And then once awards are made, then the applicant or awardee moves on to the county, and they enter into a grant agreement with the county, and the county writes the checks for the projects, inspects to make sure that the work's done, everything like that. And they take care of all the reporting with the state. So, like I said, this MOU just formalizes that agreement. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, I'd ask for a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2025-30.
Is the 250,000 what Frostburg can use, or is countywide?
It is a very specific area of Main Street. So this is to support structural stabilization efforts. So anything that basically comprises the four walls or the roof or interior framing.
But it's available to that's available to Frostburg.
Frostburg only, and the designated boundaries are from Water Street to Bowery Street, and it's Main Street only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. I move we approve Resolution 2025-30.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2025-30. Further comment or discussion among council? Comment or discussion among the public? Ms. Van Houten.
Go back.
To the resolution?
It's a strategic demolition fund program.
Yes, that is, so that specific fund is offered through the state of Maryland's Department of Housing and Community Development, and they have different grant programs. So one we've taken advantage of in the past is the Community Legacy Grant. The Strategic Demolition Grant is unique because it doesn't require a match. And it's used for more strategic planning and stabilization or demolition. So it's a very broad grant program.
So are there areas on Main Street that need to be demolished?
No, this is not for demolition. This is for stabilizing. I know that the name of the state funding program is strategic demolition, but the county and city grant program is the structural stabilization grant. So I know it's a little confusing, but
Yeah, so you're gonna reface La Petites or something?
it's not for facades. It's for, we've got a couple buildings that need foundation work or that need structural, just,
Like La Petite?
yes, that would be an example of one. There's several others that we've identified in town though. And because Frostburg is such a mountainous region, things fall down. So the whole purpose of this is to kind of catch those things before they happen so we don't have another La Petite situation.
When does the process begin to file for this? Or how do you apply?
We will be launching this probably in the next, once the agreement is formalized. So once the MOU is signed, I would guess 2 to 3 weeks. The county is actually in charge of the launch of the program, so it's just kind of on their schedule. But I know that they're working on a big PR campaign, and they said they want to launch ASAP. So that leads me to believe in the next couple weeks we'll have something put out to the public.
It would start, you would apply at Frostburg though?
Yes, you would apply through the community development office at the city, and we have a review panel who it's 3 city staff members and 2 county, a mix of community development, engineering, and finance. They would review all the applications. There's a rubric that's been developed, and all the project proposals will be scored against this rubric. So that's how the decisions will be made. And then we will bring them with the review panel's recommendations. We will bring them to the mayor and council at a future meeting. And our council will have the preliminary review and decide which projects get forwarded to the county commissioners for final approval. So it's kind of a multi-step process. And we don't want it to be, too much red tape, but it's also requests can be up to $100,000. So it's pretty substantial finances that we're talking about. So we just want to make sure that everyone is fully on board with what gets funded.
Further comment or discussion among anyone out in the public? Okay. Thank you. The motion is on approval of resolution 2025-30. As many as are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Resolution 2025-30 is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on then to item 11 on the agenda, which is open public comment. A time for anyone, general comment from anyone, Frostburg citizens. Dr. Siebert?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Dr. Gretchen Seibert. I live at 6 Preston Place in Frostburg, Maryland, with my husband and 2 children. I've practiced full-time clinical dentistry for over 2 decades in Allegheny County, and my motivation and heart for providing dental care is driven by the concept that all people have a basic human right to be healthy and to be well. This motivation informed my choice to leave private practice in 2009 to move to a clinical setting exclusively with patients who lack access to dental care. I practice full-time clinical dentistry, which is why I'm still in my work scrub after leaving work just a few minutes ago in order to make it timely to this meeting to speak on a matter of dental public health. In my daily dental practice, information and research is so important. As I constantly review data and perform robust risk-benefit analysis along with my colleagues. I practice in a location with 4 other dentists, so we debate things every day. To that end, I attend many continuing education conferences, obtaining hundreds of continuing education credits annually, even though the Maryland State Board of Dental Examiners only requires 15 credits yearly to maintain my dental license. Which brings me to an issue historically left to local governments that's now drawing attention from even some state and federal leaders. And the outcome could affect our health for generations. Water fluoridation has been a hot topic during the last few months, with Florida and Utah enacting statewide bans and similar proposals under consideration across the country. Actually, when I started preparing this, they were still considering it in Louisiana, but hot off the press, I don't know if you saw within the past week, Louisiana decided to maintain community water fluoridation. So I'm sure you're probably somewhat familiar with the decades of research based off the observations of Dr. Black and colleagues in Colorado Springs that already exist after they observed the effects of naturally occurring fluoride occurring in the groundwater in areas of Colorado and the beneficial effects for dental health of the residents in those areas. As a result of those observations in the early 1900s, decades and decades and decades of study have been done about the benefits and risks of community water fluoridation, leading us to a situation where many areas actually add fluoride to their water supply if they aren't lucky enough to have it naturally occurring in the groundwater, as they do in Colorado Springs and other areas around the world. So, what I wanted to bring to your attention, because I feel like there's such a body of research that we can look at, but things are changing, and we should always question things that we think are already settled science, because that's how science works. So, recently, this was just published on May 30th. There was a longitudinal study done by dentists, dental professionals, public health professionals, statistical epidemiological experts at Brigham and Women's Hospital, which is part of the Harvard School of Dental Medicine. And it's entitled Projected Impact of Removing Fluoride from Public Water Systems in the United States. It's a very long study. I will not read it. I mean, this is something I enjoy reading, but I appreciate everybody else doesn't. If, with your permission, may I approach and share this?
Sure,
with you?
of course.
And I will leave that for you to review because I think that's new important information. I also want to share the information about Louisiana's decision, which just happened on May 29th. That's actually all I have to present to you tonight, but I'm happy to field any questions. This is something I'm very passionate about, but I understand everybody else may not be, and we all have other places to be, so.
I just would like to, last month, Bernie and Dr. Danola presented the case against fluoride, and they gave a handout, which I read. It seems to me, well, some of the citations in it are very vague, so some of them were very hard to follow. But some of the studies I was already familiar with, and they don't mention in the handout that they apply to areas where there is excess fluoride, which is where what seems like all of the bad problems are coming from. And right now, I believe that the fluoride that we add to our water is actually under the national recommended level. So it seems like we don't really have a problem here. Is underfluoridation a problem? If we're still providing fluoride, but it's not quite up to the national level, would that be a problem?
It would still be beneficial. So there's a range of beneficial amounts of parts per million of fluoride that you can add to the water. I think Hayden Lindsay and the group at the Frostburg treatment plant and folks in Cumberland do an excellent job of very carefully titrating the amount of fluoride that's added to the water to make sure that it's low enough to be beneficial while not anywhere near high enough to be dangerous. And I appreciate what you and others have said, that there can be too much of a good thing. I enjoy strawberries, right? If I sat down and I ate an entire pallet of strawberries, I could have benzene toxicity and be at the hospital. That's unlikely to happen. We have heard stories of fraternities challenging people to drink water of death. We all need to drink water to survive. So it is true that there is an unsafe range of things, even as benign as water. Handled properly, fluoride can safely provide myriad beneficial effects.
The other thing that I was thinking about as I was considering the issue is that a lot of people now brush their teeth with fluoridated toothpaste. I imagine that if we took fluoride out of the water, households where there's neglect, where, for one reason or another, there isn't regular toothbrushing, those might suffer the most from dental caries, which affects not only their teeth, but it can really affect your whole system, your whole body. As somebody, so you work at the county level, and you said you work with people who, can you explain that again? Who you work with?
Sure. I work in a group practice setting with several local dentists. Dr. Rupert Bosley is a dentist that I'm honored to work with. Dr. Dan Godesky is another dentist that I work with. Dr. Kirsten Hebner is another dentist that I work with, and Dr. Ryan Krempel. And they all have education at different centers. Some went to WVU, some went to Pittsburgh, some went to Maryland. We all have different backgrounds. And so it's neat to be in a setting like that, because sometimes when you're in a private practice as a solitary provider, you become siloed. We kind of push each other to make sure that we're providing good advice to our
Did you
patients.
say you work with underserved children?
I
or-
do.
Okay.
So half of my patient population is Medicaid eligible pediatric patients, and the other half, well, it's about a 54 to 46%, so not exactly half. The other half would be adults that are Medicaid eligible, are not insured. We see a lot of military veterans because, as many of us know, in this country you have to be 100% service disabled in order to have a dental benefit. So we see a wide range of people that have no access to dental care if it weren't for where I practice.
So it seems like that would be a population that might suffer the most from lack of fluoride.
Absolutely. And there are benefits to topical fluoride, but there are also benefits to systemic fluoride. And I could talk for an hour on all the different benefits.
Can you just briefly?
Sure. So systemic fluoride, so ingesting some amount of fluoride, actually changes the makeup of the teeth. So the hard outer layer of our teeth, that's enamel, there's always like a exchange of ions in the saliva in our oral cavity. If fluoride is bioavailable, the hydroxyapatite in the enamel becomes fluorohydroxyapatite, which is much, much stronger, much more resistant to acid attack, and much more caries resistant. And that is important as the tooth is developing to get that systemic amount. And then fluoride topically applied can repair, the way that I describe it when I give presentations is it kind of repairs like micro holes. So a cavity, we're all afraid to go to the dentist that we might have a cavity. Cavity is just a synonym for hole.
Right, yeah.
So a cavity starts microscopically, and when it's still microscopic, bioavailable fluoride in the oral cavity can actually create a crystalline bridge and replace that damaged hydroxyapatite with the even stronger fluorohydroxyapatite.
Right. Interesting. Is it possible for a baby to get excessive fluoride just because baby's very small?
I appreciate the question. I think that could happen. I know that there are pediatricians, especially for parents that you choose to use formula, that recommend water that has, it's like nursery water, that has a lesser amount of fluoride, because there are some situations where the formula, when combined with fluoridated water, actually could exceed what we would maybe find to be safe. So,
Thanks for answering my questions.
Yeah. yeah.
And I'd
Yeah.
like to read that when you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like reading studies.
Yeah, with in my household, we did not use fluoride, and I ingested fluoride when I was raising my children. And they're quite, straight A students. Their mom is a dentist. We use fluoride every day. We drink fluoridated water every day. So we have a lot of fluoride exposure.
Pure Frostburg tap water. It's good for you. Yeah, we would.
Anything further for Dr. Seibert? Thank you very much
Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Anyone else? General public comment period. Ms. Van Houten.
Hi, Lisa Van Houten, 318 Barnard. I got this in the mail today, and I read it, and I actually asked for the full terms and restrictions, but my understanding is under the current city water system, the city is responsible from the shutoff to the street. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, so from the shutoff to the home is my responsibility, essentially.
Correct.
Is that what my $1.70 a month is going to help cover?
Yes. Yes. It will be anything from where the meter connects to your home in.
From where the curb stops.
The curb, excuse me, from the curb stop.
Shut-off valve in.
Into your home. Yes.
Okay, all right, I wasn't sure about that. In the sewer line now, there is no shut-off valve.
It's all gravity.
Okay, so if there's a sewer line break between the inflow into the manhole cover to the house,
This does not cover that. This is just water, municipal water.
but it says combined water and sewer leak.
Then your tap ends at the street into the line. If then that's just a clerical error in the write-up. It's just for your water leak adjustment. You, in theory, this is in theory, your sewer line, if it has a leak, it's not a pressurized leak, you are not losing money with your sewer line, quote unquote.
Is there a check off or check valve in a sewer line from a house?
You can put one in. It's called a backflow preventer.
Yeah.
You can stick it on your sewer line to keep anything from surcharging up your line, but it still lets your sewage out.
Right, right. But this $1.70 doesn't cover that sewer situation.
I think it's possible, let me just brain dump here, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. When it mentions water and sewer on there, the way that we bill customers for water, when the water flows into your house through the meter, we assume that water is also flowing back out of your
Sure.
house. So if you have a huge leak into your home, and you would get billed for, I'm just making up a number, 5,000 extra gallons of water usage, you would also get billed for 5,000 gallons of sewer. So I think that's probably what it's talking about, that it would correct that.
Correct.
Okay.
It would cover the excess charge of water in and sewer out.
Okay, all right, all right. So how does that work with the combined sewer overflow? Doesn't affect it whatsoever?
It's a different.
They're not related, yeah.
Okay, all right, I wasn't, and just a suggestion, a copy of the full terms and restrictions for the program, I think should be on the city website.
Okay. If it's not, we'll make sure that it gets there ASAP.
Because idiots like me need answers.
I was gonna say, the full serve line proposal, the meeting that we approved it, it's in the agenda packet, but I can put it somewhere else or post it on the
Yeah, put
Facebook
it on the
page.
water.
Yeah, we'll put
department's
another link out there that has the full terms and conditions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
okay. Just a quick question. Laval is putting in piping, I'm not sure if it's into the sewer or the water, down by Laval, just before, oh, it is new sewer line you're putting in?
You said in Lavelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, now, where the sheds are for sale, so to speak, is that the new sewer line that's?
That's a gas line.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? I wouldn't have
Part
guessed.
of that was storm damage. So I don't handle any of those projects, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But that's gas line that's going in there, presumably from storm damage.
That's an 8-inch gas missing. Wow.
So Lisa, I did want to add, I pulled up the proposal, and it is water leak protection for water and sewer excess bills in relation to the leak.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's on the website?
Yep, that's on the meeting portal from the meeting that I guess it was last month when we approved it.
So we will take care of that tomorrow. We'll take that link and we'll
As a
post it
separate
out
link, yeah.
front on the city website so that it's easier to access.
All right.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
take
you.
care of that. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Anything else? General public comment? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask.
I'm hourly, it's fine.
Is this gonna be an individual line item on the utility bill?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be listed on the left-hand side where it says like Chesapeake Bay fee, whatever, yeah, it'll be listed there.
Okay.
Because it's an opt-in versus an opt-out. so
Right.
It won't be the same for everybody.
Right. Okay. Anything else? All right, I would not normally presume to speak on behalf of the whole council, but I think I can safely do it this time. I'd like to just thank Hayden and Lydia for everything that you guys have done in the last 4 months, taking on the gigantic role of filling the city administrator role temporarily for the last 4 months. And also for not telling the four of us to go pound sand whenever we hired Patrick. You two really honestly did phenomenal work, and I'm sure Liz is proud of you, and we certainly are.
we are.
So, thank you both for everything that you did.
Appreciate it.
Anything else, Commissioner Carter? Commissioner Forsythe?
Good.
Commissioner Grove? Good. Just a reminder that City Hall is closed on Thursday. This Thursday it will be closed for the Juneteenth federal holiday. Other than that, I think that's all we have. Meeting adjourned.